Hey there, you're listening to You Still Going On About That with Rob Israel and Joseph K. You can find us anywhere you could download podcasts. You could also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at YSGOAT. Thanks for listening. I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that?
All right, Joseph. Wednesday, March 30th. It's 9:50 p.m.
Yep.
It's 9:50 p.m.
In Mountain Time. Here in Central Time. 10:50.
What's Central Time? What is that?
I'll tell you, I've lived in the Central Time Zone for a few years now, and I'm still not at all used to it. Everything is just Eastern Time to me. Even when I lived on the West Coast for years, my head still works off Eastern Time.
I've lived in every time zone now in the United States. I lived on East, then West, Central, now Mountain.
Yeah.
And now Central Time is like stupid because it's just like an hour behind thing. So
yeah.
Just an hour. You just get to see things an hour earlier than New York. So
right.
I was on at 10:30 in New York, and then in the Central Mountain Time though, it's like we're just not good enough for Pacific Time.
Yeah,
2 hours behind you, but the only benefit I could say is that now when I watched Moon Knight, instead of watching it at 2 a.m, I got to watch it at 1 a.m.
There you go.
Yeah, but then I fell asleep, so that didn't matter. Do you know that back in the day, supposedly, and I don't know if this is 100% true, that Saturday Night Live, which would air here, or air in New York at 11:30, that I think they would never air it live in California.
Oh, they tape delay it?
They just tape delay and play it. It was never ever actually live. Yeah, because it would be on fucking 8:30 then.
Yeah.
But I think they've had incidents where they had to like refilm shit for California.
Makes sense.
Yeah, like any type of like if they want to scrub something or like, I don't know. I found that interesting. I remember Larry King had it really fun. I remember reading something about Larry King, and he said that I guess he lived in the West Coast for years and he loved it because he liked waking up and having most of the news of the day already happened. And he just had to catch up to it because it's like it's 11:30 in New York at 8:30 in California. So, right? Am I doing the math right? 9:30. Yeah, 11:30. So
I remember I used to watch football games that on the East Coast would start at 1, and when I lived out west, they'd start at like 9 in the morning. And I was like so primed to like crack open a beer. Like can't enjoy a beer at 9 a.m.
You have to have mimosas.
Right. Yeah.
Football game mimosas, right? You and the boys cracking open some mimosas.
Them. This is a weird
quiches because it's brunch.
Believe me. This is a weird segue, but I think it's a good one. One of the things I do like about living in the Central Time Zone as opposed to the Eastern Time Zone is that, like, it used to be I'd watch these award shows and stuff, and they dragged on to like midnight or 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And now, like most award shows, they're over for me like around 10:30, probably over like around 9:30 or 10 for you. So when the Oscars, which I guess stretched on much longer than it should recently, it was still over relatively early for us. So,
yeah.
Did you watch the Oscars live?
I did not watch it once, actually. I didn't watch a minute of it. I only know about the controversy of the Oscars from Twitter. I didn't even know what movies were up. It's funny, years ago, man, I used to live by the Oscars.
Yeah.
And then like, I don't know, probably like 5 years ago, I just stopped giving a shit. I just wasn't really, I didn't really pay attention to what the movies were. I just didn't care. I don't know. And I feel like it lost its meaning and they started doing like double hosts. And I was like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
And, but before we get into the Oscars, let's just do a real quick, because we're going to talk about the Oscars.
Yeah.
The controversy. I think Amy Schumer said something horrible to
right.
Commons and Kirsten Dunst, and right, and just that, nothing else happened.
Yes,
Right?
that was it.
That was it. That was the only thing bad that happened. Yeah.
Mm.
What else are we going to talk about today before we get into the
It's kind of an odd
tragedy?
mix. We're going to talk about the Oscars, and then we're going to talk about Bruce Willis. He retired from acting, I guess, officially today.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We've talked about him.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
We're gonna talk about Moon Knight, which is the new Marvel show.
Not Moon. What was it called? The show with
Moonlighting. Yeah.
Moonlighting. Not wow. Look at the timing. We're talking about Bruce Willis. We're talking about Moon Knight, not Moonlighting.
We're talking about Moon Knight. Then we're going to switch kind of the news politics. We're going to talk about Madison Cawthorne's gotten into some trouble, talking about orgies and cocaine use amongst the
Madison Court. What is it called again? What's that movie?
Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut. Eyes Wide Shut too.
We're going to talk about an odd shift in the Republican strategy. It seems like they've become real comfortable attacking gay people again.
Right, which I knew was going to happen. You know, they were going after the trans, and now they're just like, fuck it, what's going to go after?
Yeah, I did not see that happening, but we'll talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about the SCOTUS pick that's kind of going through the rounds. We're going to talk about Trump's missing phone records. There's about 7 hours of missing phone records from January 6th.
Wow, that's crazy. I can't believe that happened.
Yep, and also Hunter Biden's laptop.
Oh my God.
Equally as relevant. So
oh my God, it's just so relevant.
And then we're gonna wrap it up with two kind of like law enforcement things. I want to talk about a kid in Houston sued his school and won because they made fun of him for not saying the Pledge of Allegiance. And then you're going to talk about fentanyl, the scourge of
the horrible, it's the dread. I don't know. It's like it's the real pandemic.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I don't know. I just see every once in a while, you'll see like LA or like Wisconsin police department, and it's like cops in like full bubble, like they look like the guys from Monsters Inc., like full protective gear, and they're like, oh my God, we found a trace of fentanyl.
It's crazy.
It's the weirdest propaganda out there that like it's nationwide. Like it's not just like specific areas. It's like a weird like I remember when I'll go into it later.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have a few thoughts about it, but first we're gonna talk about the slap heard around the world.
Well, Jesse Plemons slap Amy Schumer.
I actually watch. It's funny. This is a weird sort of coincidence. I watched the Oscars with my wife. We had actually tried to catch a few. We tried to catch a few of the movies that were up for the award, and I
don't even know what was up for the award. I know Dune. Did Dune win?
Dune won like some weird technical.
Okay, I was gonna make a joke on Twitter. So if Dune wins, they should only get a half an Oscar. It's a half a movie.
Yeah. And Drive My Car was up for an award, which is kind of a cool movie out of Japan. And so anyway,
Mike's so out of it.
I watched the first 2 hours of the Oscars, and then my kid gets ready to go to bed, and so I go up to tuck her in.
The Oscars were pretty boring until that.
I was in and out of watching. I mean, like I was in the room.
Was
the TV was on.
Host between Amy Schumer and Chris Rock or something, or was it Chris Rock was the host?
Frankly, I don't even recall, to be honest with you. I mean, there's a lot of people doing a lot of talking.
I feel like they're just they have Billy Crystal in a glass case, and next year Billy Crystal doing hosting it.
Well, so I go up, I tuck her in, and then I come back down, and I'm still watching the Oscars. And apparently, in the 15 minutes that I was upstairs, that happened.
The only part that no anyone gives a shit about.
Interesting. And I was, like I said, I wasn't really watching it seriously. I'm like on my phone screwing around, and on all of a sudden on Twitter, that's all anyone is talking about. And so I was able to rewind the live TV to see it, after it happened. It was weird.
I thought it is pretty nuts how much. Okay, I was joking. I mean, there was a scene where supposedly Amy Schumer said something to Kristen Dunst and was making a joke about how she was a seed filler, and people were like, "How dare you?"
Yeah.
Like, I think that whole thing was a joke.
From what I understand, it was pre-planned, and Kristen Dunst was in on the joke.
Yeah, being that the way she reacted was clearly a bit, and Jessica Clemens like, "That's my wife." It's like, yeah, they're actors. Now the other one, they're actors too.
Yes,
there is a little bit of a debate if it was real or not. And
I think it was real.
I think it was real too, because there is okay, so basically Chris Rock made a really lame joke about a movie from the 90s that no one remembers. And because of the hack joke that he made, Will Smith, who's a study of comedy, he was pissed by that joke.
Yeah.
He's like, "What are you doing? You were paid millions to like make jokes, and you're pulling a G.I. Jane joke from the 90s?" And he went up there and he smacked me. He said, "I'm gonna have none of that, sir. You need to update your references." That's what happened.
That's
right?
not exactly what happened. First of all, G.I. Jane was
I
actually a really good movie. Actually,
you were paid millions, and you made a G.I. Jane reference. Fuck you.
Well, here's what I understand, and from what I understand, there's the Chris Rock and Will Smith have a little bit of a back history.
Supposedly, there's some back and forth, and like I guess Chris Rock has made fun of what's her name?
Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yeah. He made fun of her years ago. She didn't attend the Oscars for a reason,
right?
And then, so this year, I don't even know the whole bit. All I know is that he said he was looking at the crowd or something, and Jada Pinkett Smith looks like she's going to be in
G.I. Jane too.
And some people were like, "You can't say that. She has alopecia or something."
I don't know how to say it, but apparently it's a disease where your hair falls out.
But it's like it's also like an autoimmune problem too.
Yes, yeah.
Like that one congresswoman who revealed that she had it, and she basically now doesn't wear her hair anymore.
Well, I don't remember that.
She's considered one of the squad members. She's
with
her husband, and was like, after that, like, I'm a proud person who's like, bold woman basically. But the funny thing, I remember there's one guy from Internet Today made a joke saying, like, first of all, like, "Oh no, you referenced a beautiful woman to another beautiful woman." Like, it's not like he said, like, "You look like Michael Chiklis" or something.
like she was auditioning for his role in the Fantastic Four reboot.
Yeah, like, it's not like Uncle Fester. Adam's, making an Adam's family,
right?
Adam's Family 3, and she was up for the part for Uncle Fester. It's not like they made those. You see, that's the jokes you make. Come on, Chris, you want to get hit. You say that Will Smith's wife looks like you kill him. You say that his wife looks like Uncle Fester. He ain't hitting you. He's gonna cry. Like, well, oh no, he said you look like Demi Moore. Oh, that's horrible.
It was a really weird thing. Like, and look, I'm perfectly willing to admit, like, there's a lot of perspectives here that I haven't really considered. However, I always kind of assumed that part of the shtick was that these celebrities get roasted, that's kind of like how they can get away with basically
funny about so my son, before he moved, I'm not going to name the kid. He was telling me that these kids were making fun of other kids in the school, but they were claiming that, they're just roasting them. And I told my son, I'm like, that's not roasting. We call that bullying.
Yeah, that's a little different.
This isn't Comedy Central. They weren't paid a bunch of money.
Right.
They didn't, not on the audience. Snoop Dogg is not coming out making a joke. This is just kids ganging up on one kid.
This is bullying.
And this is called bullying. I mean, I wish it was called roasting, but then does the kid get to show up now at the dais, and he's like, "Hey, you're like, you only bullying me because your dad molested you,"
Well, I know
I didn't say that joke to my son. That's for you, Joseph.
Because
that opens a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
I want to have.
Well, I agree with that difference, but like in like the Oscar world, I always figured, like, look, part of the weirdness of it is that all these super famous, wealthy, attractive people are getting together and throwing themselves a party and giving each other awards.
And there's a guy who goes out there and insults them.
Yeah, and
makes some jokes.
Part of the way you can do that and not feel like a complete douchebag when the Ukraine is on fire and people down the road on Skid Row in Los Angeles are like living in shopping carts and stuff.
Cities everywhere throughout the country.
Part of why
you guys are still celebrating even in the post streaming, like, yeah, I'm sorry, there's not as much. I don't think the Oscars means anything anymore.
Well, and they get up there and they talk about their craft and their contributions and this and that. And I can, like, my head can both accept that and say, like, yeah, you know, movies are part of what make life worth living, you know, and comedy is like this great salve and whatever. But like, part of the price of having that event is you get roasted by someone like Chris Rock. You know, they make Ishtar jokes, they make
like, I mean, first of all, like Ishtar, yeah, talk about a reference there.
I'm just saying, like, they poke fun at themselves, you know, right.
Like, but again, okay, so the camera, if you see it, like, supposedly Will Smith was laughing first, and his wife was not having any of it, and I guess
she rolled her eyes.
Which is like, who cares? I mean, like, people roll their eyes, like, whatever. You see that all the time too in those things. But I guess he decided to get up.
Yeah.
And he went up to Chris Rock, and Chris Rock was like, "What?" And he smacked him. I guess he didn't punch him. I guess he slapped him or something.
He smacked him. Yeah,
it was pretty loud. It was not it was like a. And I don't know if Chris Rock rolled with it. I mean, he was probably more like stunned. I don't think he hit him that hard.
Yeah.
See that tweet from like Judd Apatow talking about how Will Smith could have killed him, and it's like, I think he ended up deleting it, but he's like, "Oh my God, he could have killed him." And then Judd Apatow tweeted about that Conan Bryant thing today. So Paul Rudd on Conan O'Brien, the podcast recently, he went out and did the whole entire Mac and Me bit.
Classic,
yeah. So Judd Apatow tweeted saying how he was pissed about Paul Rudd doing that. Initially pissed that Paul Rudd did that on Conan years ago when they were promoting This Is 40, when he didn't show the clip and showed Mac and Me instead. But then he learned over the years how this joke, how great it is. It's been going on decades now. And someone tweeted under it, "Oh my God, that could have killed Conan."
Oh, Jesus.
That could have killed him.
Well, I have like a pretty basic feeling about the whole Will Smith thing. I don't know if it's like, I think it's becoming a more popular take. When it first happened, it was like pretty 50-50 as to people who thought, I
don't care either way. I'm not team Will or team Chris.
I don't care for either. I don't care about either performer per se, but I do know that a basic expectation of adulthood and civilization is that you don't hit people for words. You know, I mean, like, that's.
I saw a bunch of like Trump supporters and stuff. Like Trump supporters, like in media and stuff, going really hard on Will Smith and like defending Chris Rock and being like, because they're like, Chris Rock's just doing his freedom of speech. Like, this is freedom of speech. He was paid millions of dollars to do this. This isn't like he's on the street corner and spouting about the truth here. He's making a tepid joke at the fucking.
I know, but it's like,
these people though are the same motherfuckers though that defended Trump, who was such a fucking coward and couldn't handle any jokes. That during his entire administration refused to participate in the
press dinner.
Which is like one of the things that all presidents pretty much do.
Yeah.
George W. Bush sat there and got fucking decimated by Colbert on stage.
I
mean, Colbert didn't. That was like.
Yeah, Bush took it like a champ.
Bomb dropped on him, but like, Trump was such a fucking cow. So these people talking about like, oh, you need to have guts. You need to be able to do this. Like, you fucking support this guy who wouldn't even like the slightest criticism of him, and you guys cry.
For me, it was real easy though, and like, you could. I mean, I know it's not. These aren't incredibly useful analogies, but like, if the guy checking you out at Burger King says something rude, the answer isn't to hit the guy. Like it's just not the answer, you know.
Duh.
And
it's well, it's
and like
bizarre because it's weird. Okay, I know what you're bringing up, but that's like this is just super weird because it's a broadcast. The way things are now too. The one broadcast doesn't mean anything anymore. Everything becomes a meme now.
Yeah.
Everything lives. Elements of things get shared. They can live on for decades later. It could be a GIF used.
Yeah, sometimes you lose the original context, and it's a new thing. It goes
on for decades. So these things have way more of a shelf life. So it's like, what the hell was going through this guy's head? It's like, okay, Chris Rock makes this really lame joke.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking lazy is the best description I would give.
Yeah, but it's par for the course for Oscar jokes. They all suck.
Right, I guess. But come on, G.I. Jane 2, really? Like, I don't even fucking care about G.I. Jane 1. Yeah. Regardless, like I said, he could have gotten way meaner.
Oh, yeah,
yeah. Like called her Uncle Fester or something. That would have like and he would have been killed.
Right.
But like Will Smith getting up and like going on live TV, interrupting him on stage. It's like, dude, this is your entire career. This is your family. Like, you're the center of it. Like, when people think of Jaden Smith, I forgot the daughter's name. Like,
Willow.
Don't talk about those kids. It's all about Will Smith in the end. And like, dude, what the hell are you thinking? Like, why would you risk your reputation? This is like, you look like, yeah, I agree. He looks stupid in the end. I don't think he should have hit Chris Rock at all. I think it's like totally insane. But then I guess he won an Oscar for King Richard.
Yeah.
Like shortly afterwards. That was the stage and tried to apologize or something. And he was talking about love. And it was just
that was the thing that really, like, again, I don't want to like give the impression that I was like real worked up one way or the other about any of it. But if I were to like dwell on it and kind of think about it, that was like so ridiculous. He goes up there. Okay, they're all actors. I mean, Will Smith, I don't see Will Smith as like substantially any more serious or better than Chris Rock, you know. I mean, they're both actors. And Will Smith like decks Chris Rock, and then like everyone's comforting Will Smith. And then
it's weird.
Like, what the fuck? I mean, I
don't understand. And they had people like, I saw these people talking about alopecia and everything, like thinking like this is a good to get the word out. I mean, first of all, Jada Pinkett Smith is beautiful and like looks great with the way she looks. So, and again, Chris Rock's joke was like, I'm gonna reference a beautiful woman and say, "Oh, you're beautiful." So it's like, it's so stupid. And then on top of it, and like I said, it's not like he said that like, oh, someone's up for the role for Kojak or something.
Yeah, I mean, it just like,
I mean, fuck, if you're gonna make dinosaur fucking references, you might as well make a Kojak reference.
But that's like part of the shtick of the Hollywood jokes. Are like they're all like inside
Marvel
baseball.
Was gonna cast a female to play Professor X. That's a cool gender swap.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, like. You know, there's like so many jokes you can make that's so much better than that.
The whole thing just like struck me as like, it's just like,
I'm bothered more by that, actually. I could care less about slap. I don't give a fuck about that. This is pull some tweets that I had from this.
It was just like, I don't know. I thought it was rough. And like, I don't know if I'm a comedian or if I'm like in any way like friends with or associated with Chris Rock, who the fuck are they going to get to do the award ceremony next time? Like, what is the deal? Like, if your jokes aren't the audience gets to decide if your jokes are good, and if not, they can come up and hit you. Like, just seems so weird, you know. I don't know.
Yeah, I said everyone talking about the Rock and Smith controversy while being quiet about Jesse Plemons imprisoning Amy Schumer in his underground meth lab dungeon. Kind of wish that happened, actually.
Yeah.
Hoping the Oscars pay me millions next year to make jokes that reference movies such as Twister or Sensible Woman. I also got some Menendez brother jokes that would totally kill.
But the Oscars did that shit. They're like, it's the 28th anniversary of Pulp Fiction. It's the, they were like busting out all these weird.
Somebody tweeted that picture of that woman and said, Will Smith, I'm so sorry I wasn't your mother. Remember that one about Putin? I'm so sorry I wasn't your mother.
Yeah.
That lady. I said, let's normalize comedians updating their references after 2 decades.
Yeah. Well,
I said, this one, has anyone made a Monica Zelensky joke yet? And someone wrote that infamous blue and yellow dress. This is so Chris Rock was paid how much to host the Oscars? And he made a G.I. Jane joke in 2022. There are much funnier people here on Twitter doing this for free. This is clearly class warfare.
That's a good point.
To be fair, it was a joke about G.I. Jane. Might as well make a Monica Lewinsky joke while you're at it.
I don't know. The datedness of the reference didn't bother me, just because like so much Oscar shit is dated. But all the jokes on there are dated. Like they still make like Billy.
They're probably like the average. They probably said the average viewers watching this are like 50 and 60 years old. So of course, I get the GI joke because I'm gonna be 45 this year.
Yeah.
Like I said, 2023 Oscar skit based on Smith and Rock's incident will be played by Billy Crystal in blackface. It's gonna go over real great. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, the 2023 Best Documentary Oscar Award will go to the documentary of Will Smith and Chris Rock before the 2022 Best Documentary Oscar Award.
Yeah,
it's kind of a tongue twister to read.
Oh, wow. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I did a drawing, One Punch Will.
Oh, I saw that. That was a good one.
Yeah, I have to update it though. It should say One Slap Will. Yeah. Say slap. I didn't know Will Smith was a one-hit wonder.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah. Which was worse, the slap or the what's their faces coming out in their cats costumes last year? I saw that. I didn't watch the Oscars last year, but
I didn't either.
James Gordon and what's her name?
Oh,
Perfect. They came out and like dressed in their cat's uniform.
Oh, Jesus.
Apologizing for how shitty the movie was.
Mm.
I would Conan O'Brien. Just saw the Will Smith slap. Anyone have a late night show I can borrow just for tomorrow?
Yeah.
This one I feel like no one got my reference. I said clearly Will Smith wasn't aware that Chris Rock was trying to take him through a spooky mental haunted house. So some conclusions.
The Whitney Cummings reference, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that one got lost. That reference.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Comedians I would have preferred Will Smith smacked over Chris Rock. Ricky Gervais, Joe Rogan, regular guest, that like always regular guest. Dave Chappelle, early 2000s Dane Cook.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Louis C.K., Rob Schneider, the ghost of Don Rickles. I just threw that in there.
Jim Brewer.
What?
Jim Brewer.
Oh yeah, he doesn't. He's irrelevant. Jimmy Dore and Gallagher's Sledgehammer. Like just a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Other comedians that need the Will Smith treatment over Chris Rock. Almost every Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah, true.
Steven Crowder. Guy who yells into a mic as their profile pic. Comedian that tells you how it is. Bill Maher. And people that use George Carlin out of context.
Yeah, all good ones.
Batman smacking Robin, that got used a lot.
Yeah, I did see that one a lot. I saw a lot of Everyone Hates Chris references.
Yeah, with him getting smacked.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think the whole thing is just sort of a shame. It's like,
I just think it's weird. There's no right to it. I don't know. I think like, what was it, like Chris Rock? They're already like, he could have like pressed charges and everything. No, he's smart. Now they're using it to promote his shows and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he handled it as well as anyone could. I just don't
comedy thing though. People are so weird. Like somebody was like, "Oh, comedians are being shut down by celebrities." I mean, Chris Rock's a fucking celebrity.
Yeah, I don't see this as like I just see this as a weird incident by Will Smith. I think he was out of line. Well, I don't think there's like
there's some people who are so odd. They're like mythologize some of these comedians as if they're like they're not getting paid millions of dollars to do this stuff. Like as if they're the arbiters of truth. Like they're the ones that are telling you how it is and everything. And it's really bizarre because I'm like, this isn't fucking what's his face in the early 60s, Lenny Bruce.
Right.
You know, these are not these dudes are making like Netflix specials and getting paid buco bucks and escaping on their friends' podcasts and making tons of money. Now I'm not saying I for Will Smith smacking him. I'm just saying that I think people have this weird like hero worship of comedians.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I just know that, like, look, I've seen enough award shows and enough Oscars and enough anything to know that when a bunch of celebrities get together and there's a host or an MC and it's a comedian, then people are going to get zinged. That's always happened.
People
and
were bringing up like from 2019, I think it was like Ricky Gervais at or maybe it was 2020, early pre-pandemic, at the Golden Globes. He like just went on this weird, slightly right-wing tirade of Hollywood, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, that's amazing!" I'm like, it was all like hack jokes, and it was like right-wing talking points. I'm like, it wasn't good at all. But people were bringing up like, how come no one on stage went up and hit him? I'm like,
well, I mean, like, look, you can, because Ricky Gervais hasn't really been invited back by award shows, and he's kind of been on the outs to some degree. And if you were pissed off with what Chris Rock said, then after the award show or during your announcement or whatever, you get up and you say, hey, I just, you know, I'm drawing a line at that. I think it's bullshit and whatever. But like, I don't know. I can just think of a million ways that could have been handled better.
Well, I mean, in the end of the day, I think it hurts Will Smith.
Oh, yeah, clearly.
I don't think it hurts Chris Rock. Chris Rock didn't really do anything wrong. He did his job, even though I think not well. I know what you're saying. Like, they make these hackneyed jokes, but come on. A G.I. Jane reference?
They're all bullshit jokes. Have you ever like...
No, I know. I mean, they're like worst jokes. I mean, like...
Yeah, they're all kind of weird inside baseball jokes that reference things only the people in the audience or Oscar diehards care about. And I do still see like outdated jokes are kind of part and parcel of that shtick.
And like, my favorite was OJ had something to say about it. And I tweeted that OJ wanted to take a stab at at the whole controversy. He had something to say.
Oh shit!
No pun intended. You know, this other guy back in Long Island, we were talking about it, making jokes about how we're old, and I said, like, you might as well make like, I don't know if I said Lewinsky or whatever, and then he brought up like Jay Leno, and I brought up the dancing Edos.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
The fucking dancing Edos come out. I mean, like, I'm sorry. I know what you're saying. They're hack jokes, but
yeah, I know. I don't
so
know.
Fucking easy. Like, I only support him getting smacked for that. That's it. Just, I mean, like, there's people who are so much funnier.
Oh yeah,
it's like that joke on Seinfeld when it's the one with what's his face, Bryan Cranston episodes, and there's the one where he's talking about how he became Jewish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like endless Jew jokes. Like, guy's been Jewish for like a week.
Right.
It's like our people have struggled in Jersey. And then Jerry sees like a priest or something, and they're like, he brings it up, and the priest's like, "Are you offended as a Jew?" And he's like, "No, I'm offended as a comedian." Like, this makes me think of that. Like, yeah. I'm not a comedian anyway. I don't get paid.
Yeah.
The Chris Rock thing just bothers me.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like that. Like, and this is like a weird thing. Just like I genuinely like the weird awkwardness of like a Larry King or Joe Franklin interview.
Franklin.
I also
just bringing him up is awkward.
I also like the shticky,
dry
joke, like the Oscar jokes, you know, that are like you gotta like struggle to get the reference. They're kind of like eye rolling. I mean, it's just a weird dynamic.
Really funny though, because of the smack. You know, there's some fucking studio like going, we should make a G.I. Jane too.
Oh yeah.
And hire Jada Pinkett Smith to be in it.
I like G.I. Jane. I thought that was a good movie.
I don't even remember it. I think it was supposed to be this big deal, and it came out, and no one gave a fuck about it.
I thought it was supposed to be funny. I thought I was going to get to see like Private Benjamin too.
Oh God.
But it was a real serious,
Thought it
like,
was gonna be a female stripes or something.
yeah, that's what I thought. And then it was like, it was weird. I mean, it had kind of a narrative
She's like,
structure.
she was in that horrible striptease movie like a year or two before.
Oh yeah,
She's like, I know what to do. I'll do the opposite and like
it was a good movie.
my head and do push-ups.
Well, anyway, here's speaking of Demi Moore. I guess this is kind of awkwardly.
Wow, that is
yeah.
That's a really good one, Joseph.
This is an awkwardly good.
This is a great segue.
Bruce Willis, Demi Moore's ex-husband.
Bruce Blanche. Who writes a lot of those Oscar jokes, just like.
Oh yeah. He retired today, and it's for a sad reason. He has aphasia.
But isn't that like someone said like aphasia is not an actual disease, it's a symptom or something?
It's a symptom, yeah. It's the byproduct of another thing.
Like he had strokes or he has dementia.
Yes. Yeah.
So we've talked about Bruce Willis over the past year or two because we've seen, well, I mean, we talk about older movies and stuff. We used to, if you follow our podcast, we don't really do, now we just do current, and we'll talk about movies, but we used to do just movie-centric episodes. But then we ran out of good movies. I mean, you know.
Oh, we never covered G.I. Jane, but.
Right, we never did. But that's because it's not a good movie. No one cares about it. Except you. You were like when Chris Rock made that joke, you were like, oh yeah, you're like you're the one of the four.
Had to go wake up the kid. Hey,
get in here! Your kid's like, what the fuck? Man, I'm sleeping. I hate you, Dad. How was school the next day? I don't know. I didn't get any sleep.
My dad woke me up at 2 a.m. to watch a paused joke.
You don't even show the smack. You just know the joke, and that's it.
Joke. Just the reference.
It over and over. So Bruce Willis has starred in these like horror. So like he's been in bad movies his whole career. He's been in great movies. For every great movie, there's a Hudson Hawk, which is like, I don't know. I have to like re-see that. I'm sure it's like an oddity.
It is kind of.
Or what's that one movie with like Melanie Griffith and Tom? Is it that the one with Tom Hanks?
Bonfire of the Vanities. Yeah.
Was he in that?
Yep, he was in Bonfire of the Vanities.
He's in like lots of crazy movies. Like he did a Vonnegut movie. He was in Breakfast of Champions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, the guy
he was in 12 Monkeys. He was
12
in
Monkeys. Like, a great actor.
Yeah.
Horrible politics. Like.
Yeah, but he didn't like. He wasn't a hugely political guy. He was just a horrible.
He just had some bad, like very pro Iraq war, really obnoxious about it. But smart enough not to like.
Yeah, that wasn't his thing.
His career. He just got asked and gave his shitty opinion.
Right, and then he kept it. Then he kept to himself afterwards.
The problem that celebrities need to learn is if they say it just once, that's all. Then it gets repeated to the end of time. He could have just said it once.
Your tombstone.
Yeah, like it'll never end. Okay, so he's been in so many good movies. He's been in a lot of shit movies, but the problem is the past couple of years,
all shit.
And then not even it's like a different kind of shit. Like there's movies that he starred, but they had aspirations to be bigger movies, or they had aspirations.
Right.
Things they just didn't pan out. They weren't edited well, or whatever. Something was missing from the script. But these are not even movies.
No, these are
straight to tape. What we call straight to tape back in the day, VHS. Yeah. Like fucking, you go to Blockbuster and be like, "What the fuck is this?" Or there was that company. What was it called? They made like Asylum. They would make like rip off movies.
Yep.
Like instead of Transformers, it'd be like forming robots or whatever.
Right.
Fool some morons at like Blockbuster to like rent it.
I just saw they released The Power of the Cat. It was a really great, touching Western.
Power of the Cat? Oh, it was
The Power of the Dog.
I guess it was better than the original title, which is Power of the Pussycat.
Right. But yeah, he you're right. He used to be a reliable blockbuster, and there's the occasional flop, but it was
still movies.
It was a big budget flop.
These are not movies. These movies he was starring in for the past 2 years, they're just trash.
Yeah,
They're
they're
either
terrible, real
they're
bad.
emulating other movies, they're rip-offs of other movies. They're like, I mean, supposedly I've seen some reviews on them. I supposedly like one or two of them are not that bad, but most of them are just
They're like weird film
garbage.
school projects and stuff. I mean,
They're
they're yeah.
Some of these are just garbage. Like, and he would show up, and I said, one of the movies we watched was Cosmic Sin, and I was like,
Yeah.
I brought up a point and said, he's not in this movie.
No,
Like
he's in a scene,
but he's not in it. He's like, he filmed a couple of scenes, and they just edited him throughout. Like, he doesn't. So he had like two lines. He had two. He says like 3 words in the entire movie, and it's up to the rest of the cast to carry the plot. And they're the ones that would like talk about his character as if he wasn't even there.
I'd have to listen. I'd have to listen to our episode again, but I'm pretty sure you made the point that it almost was like he memorized like a sentence and then they shot it.
It just sounds like, I'm like, is he that freaking lazy and doesn't give a shit? Or is he like got cognitive decline?
Well, as it turns out, yeah, he had some sort of cognitive or neurological disorder.
Interesting enough that like this got out. Well, one, he's probably getting worse. That just can't even do these anymore at all. But like around the Oscar time, which is why we're talking about that. Yeah, that Cosmic Sin movie won. I think I'm pretty sure it won like every Razzie in the
probably.
Book.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can look it up.
Demi Moore should slap the shit out of them for giving him a Razzie.
Or guy played Kelso.
Yeah. Well,
Cosmic Sin Razzie. I just want to see.
It had to have. It was terrible.
I mean, it got brought up a bunch of times. And I think like these movies were never meant to get any attention. They were just like people going to fucking Walgreens and Walmart. And they see the red box and they get suckered into renting it. And they're like, and they watch like 20 minutes of it and they're like, this is shit.
Yeah.
Or they dread it and they're like, oh, that was a waste of $1. Or they find it on Netflix or on a streaming service.
And I saw it I was flipping through the sci-fi options on Netflix, I think it was, and I saw it and it had Bruce Willis and I started.
I mean, it had Bruce Willis, had the guy, what's that actor's name? He played like Tombstone and Winter Soldier, Frank Grillo.
Yeah,
like, he's a good actor. I was like, he's great.
The plot description sounded fine. I mean, like
I saw a movie he did recently that was really good where he's like, it's kind of like a what do you call that? Groundhog's Day, where he keeps the same day.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, like an action, a little bit of comedy. But like, yeah, Bruce, these were like, they're just not good movies. They're like unwatchable. And I was like, and he made supposedly like 20 of these. Gets paid like more than half the budget of the movie, just to put his name on it. And they're just terrible. But like, it clearly, which is what people picked up on, is something wrong with this guy. Like he's just not 100% there. It's kind of sad. It's like kind of exploitive, you know.
I wondered that, like, if people were taking it, like if an agent or someone was taking advantage of him, just sort of signing him up for shit.
People just assume like he's just trying to get as many checks so his family has money, or they have enough money. But I'm like, I imagine he has money. I'm like, I mean, blew it all on like his harmonica album that he put out or something.
Those
harmonica.
Yeah, he's gonna do a re-release of the Seagram's Golden Wine Coolers track.
That's right. He was like he got like, suppose he was like in a commercial in like Russia or something, but he wasn't even in the commercial. He just allowed them to like digitally, like they did like a Luke on him.
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, I know about aphasia. And I know kind of what it does. You can no longer like speak or really understand language. I don't know if you're, and I should probably just look it up, but I don't know if like you are cognitively aware that there's a problem, or if you just become like childlike, you know what I mean? Like in your processing, like.
There was a photo, and you brought up Demi Moore for it. There was like a photo she put out in his birthday recently.
I saw that.
And she was like, celebrating, but there was like a little bit of like, oh, there's something like, it's more sad.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
You know, like, oh, I love this guy and everything. You know, they have like in Hollywood, they're like the best post-divorce marriage.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a model.
Like, well, well, they had kids together and stuff, and it's good to go.
Honestly, that's how it should be. I mean, I always kind of admired that about the way they handled everything.
But it just looks sad. I was like, I'm looking at a photo of him, and I'm like, you could tell in the photo, he just looks like it's like those when someone has like dementia.
Yeah,
like,
they just look a little vacant, or like
there's something like off. They're just not there 100%. What they were. There's like some life is missing. It's just kind of sad. I hope I hope he's not dying. But I'm glad that they finally are like, okay, we're not going to ruin this guy's name even more, because at some point, I mean, like he made like 20 of these piece of shit movies. It's like there's a value to that name. There's and
after some time has passed, no one's going to be talking. I mean, people will say like he made some shit towards the end, but he's going to go down as a quality name.
One of the best scenes in Pulp Fiction.
Yep.
That's probably like one of the best parts in Pulp Fiction. I mean, like I'm always thought it was crazy. He never did another Quentin Tarantino movie. I always found that interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think he did. No.
I
never did. He's like one of the only like stars of like that I never really.
He was like the odd. Yeah, that is a good point.
But like, I mean, he's great in Sin City. He's great in like
12 Monkeys.
He was really good when he'd show up. And like I said, he's in these movies and you're watching and you're like, it's not really there.
No.
It's kind of sad. I don't really have anything else to say about it. I mean,
me neither.
I'm glad that he's retiring, and look again. There's people who suffer from that will not enjoy the same.
Exactly. I mean, he's in as good as position as he can be, but that sucks.
It's sad. I remember I remember seeing that today, and I was like, this like kind of bothered me. Like I said, a lot of great movies. I mean, it's Die Hard. There's that one. Die Hard 3.
He's been in some of my favorite movies, and I've never really considered him as like a favorite actor or anything, but like he'd have to be in the mix as to like actors from
like he would get lumped into like the whole Arnold Schwarzenegger thing around that time because he did Die Hard, right? But even with Die Hard, what was great about it was like he was a schlub.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he was like, that's the ultimate fantasy, because that movie, you put a guy in who's just like a regular Joe. He's a cop, but he's not like a regular Joe, and he's thrown into this. That's why the other movies never worked. And then he did those sequels like later on, like they came out like
Die Hard with a Vengeance, and
3 was great, but then 4 and 5 were just garbage.
Yeah, I saw those.
They made him too super heroic. It was like, this isn't even the character anymore.
Well, the last one I saw, he was like leaping off a fighter jet or something, and it was just
I think that was the 4th one or something. It was like, this isn't even Die Hard anymore. It's just you're just using the title. But like what was great about Die Hard was because of that, and then on top of it, he would do interesting movies. Like I said, he did like Breakfast with Champions.
Yep.
Like he would do like smaller films. He would do like, so if you look back in his career, not the past 5 years, but go back further, you're gonna see like Looper was good. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, that's what I said. It was just like, I mean,
wasn't he in a Terry Gilliam movie? What was he in?
12 Monkeys.
I'm thinking of a different one. Yeah, I kind of.
I think it's just 12 Monkeys, but that was great. He's really good in that.
Who played the fireman in Brazil?
That was Sean Connery. Well, Sean Connery was like the guy who fixed the AC.
Yeah, that's who I'm thinking. That's
an much older movie too.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking 15
of. Years older than. All right. Well, I don't really have else to say about it. I guess we'll just talk. Speaking of, I guess mental.
Yeah.
Like Moon Knight. You watch Moon Knight?
Yeah, I did. I watched it this evening here in the Central Time Zone, and I liked it. I did like it was. You had told me ahead of time. I was spoiler free for this, and you said it's kind of crazy. It's a little out there. It's more like the early WandaVision episodes in that sense. And
it's like you meet this character named Steve Grant, which is interesting because in the comics, Mark Spector is Moon Knight.
Right.
But the thing about Moon Knight is, funny thing is, I bought a bunch of the comics recently, but more for like collectible reasons.
Yeah.
The old ones, not the, but like, Um, his character is always interesting. He has like multiple personas, but it's like
Right.
like personalities, not like he switches out. Like, I mean, he literally is like different people. And he I'm trying to think, like, is the Steve Grant character, I think they might have changed it a bit. Like I said, I think we talked about before. I said that they decided to like film most of this in London,
Yeah.
and they decided like probably because it's like in the comics, it's okay to have everything in New York, but in the movies and TV shows, it just gets a little too much, and every Marvel superhero comes from New York.
Right.
Like I always found it funny in the Punisher movie, the one where John Travolta was the villain.
Yeah.
That one, they decided to have it in Florida, and I was like,
Tampa, right?
In Florida, fuck out of here. Like
It was Tampa,
you just
Florida.
do Philly, just do Philly or something,
Yeah.
or Chicago. You just don't want to like say you're in New York because you don't want to overdo, but fucking Florida, come on, like having Aquaman in space or something. Like
Batman in Key Largo.
Yeah, exactly. Like unless he's on like a tropical vacation.
Right. Yeah.
That should be the sequel to the Batman. You in this episode, the first one, you meet this guy and he keeps like losing time, basically.
Yes.
Goes in and out. He wakes up. The best part is like 15, 20 minutes into it, he's trying to like, you see him, he's trying to stay awake or something.
Yeah.
In the beginning, you see him, he's tied in his bed, and he has sand under his bed.
Right.
Which is like, they haven't really explained any of that. He works
at
like a gift shop in the museum.
Yeah.
What?
I thought they were seeing if he was seeing if he left footprints. Like that was a way to tell if he had gotten out of bed.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was just my theory.
And that makes sense too. Then also he wakes up and his face is all fucked up. He looks like Bruce Campbell on Army of Darkness when his face is straight. Like his jaw's all, and he's like he's fixing it. I was like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
And he's just in this like other country, and there's a Ethan Hawke's character, which is interesting. I love the beginning of it where you see him drinking water and then smashing the glass and
putting it in his sandals or something.
Yeah. And then he needs a cane. I watched it with my wife. She I guess that's why he needs a cane. I'm like, those are the worst. What do they call those? Gel pads. Yeah. You put it in the shoes. Like those look
Dr. Scholl's broken glass.
Broken glass. Yeah. Did not do well.
Well,
went straight to clearance.
I didn't know anything about the character other than the tiny little bit I read. And I found that this was a pretty confusing first episode, but a good one. I liked that they made it kind of comic booky in the sense that like the voice was like real comic book.
You're talking about like the Mark Spector voice just sounds like him, not British, but there's this weird like, oh no, the idiot's in charge.
Right.
Like, it's like very loud.
Yeah.
But it's like internal and it's very verbose. The voice. It was really cool.
My theory is that the Mark Spector character is the lead character or whatever. And and that the kind of nebbish little meek gift store clerk we see here is just like a temporary focus.
Because you know what I mean? Because the voice calls him Parasite.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like the idiot's in charge again. And then like Steve Grant picks up the phone, a phone that hasn't been picked up in like a long time, and that woman answers it. She's trying to touch you. He has no clue. Clearly that woman knows who Mark Spector is. You don't really meet Mark Spector to the very end when he tells him to let me take over. Like throughout the episode he takes over, but I guess Steve Grant keeps taking control.
Right.
And that's why Mark Spector like anytime there was like a fight, it's great. Like, so when he shows up, I love when he's like waving at the guy at the window and then the guns and shooting at him. He's just so clueless. And then they go into the town square and Ethan Hawke's character, which I don't even know what the fuck. It's interesting. He's playing a guy named Ethan Haro or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But this character, he has to be a mesh of different characters because the character itself, named Harrow, was only in Moon Knight #2 from a comic in the 80s. and literally died in the same issue.
Huh.
Never showed up ever again.
Hmm.
So there has to be, I'm sure there's some kind of twist there. He's like some other Moon Knight villain. I just think that would be an interesting thing to do, is to
Right.
have your main villain be this guy from the comics that was in, like, he has other villains. So
yeah. That is weird. Well,
but I'm sure there's more to it than that. But he has like that tattoo, and like he has people like come up to him, and he basically, like, I don't know what, like, the one guy, it has like a judge scales.
Yeah.
The one guy lives, but then the old lady like dies. And
Yeah.
she's like, lived a good life. And he's just like, I don't know what to tell you. Those are the rules, babe. those are the breaks, kid.
Yeah.
And then he does it on he tries doing it on Moon Knight.
Right.
And it doesn't even work. It's like he break the guy. It's like Mark Spector like breaks it. It's like, you're
he's like, there's chaos in you, which is kind of, I think I remember that from the trailer.
So I mean, spoilers. I mean, we already spoiled it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of good stuff happens in the episode, but you don't see Moon Knight in the episode until the last 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Of the episode. Mark Spector fully takes over. Costume envelopes him. I didn't know the costume was like that in the comics.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Costume he wore. I don't know. And he just, I don't know what the hell that thing is, like a wolf or a bat.
I thought it was like the Anubis god. It's like a jackal or something.
It looks like
that.
And you just see him like just beat the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so cool looking in the end. But
it
is an interesting first episode because Moon Knight is literally in the episode for like
a second.
3
And the episode is called,
he was in the trailer.
Yeah. The episode is called like the goldfish problem or something.
Well, he has this goldfish.
Yeah.
That in the beginning that has one fin, and then it comes back later. And because you don't, like, 2 days pass, he was supposed to go on a date.
Right.
It's kind of great. Like, the woman was like out of his league, but the joke is, even though this guy's an Abish, he's still Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
Not like he's this troll, you know. It's not like they called him and said he looked like what was that guy's name? It doesn't even matter. I was gonna say, you know, Uncle Fester.
Well, but what is the deal? Because like then the goldfish has like 2 fins or whatever. Like, who fucking cares?
But then he goes to the pet store, and the pet store, the woman said you were here yesterday. So clearly Mark Spector tried, something happened with the fish.
And he replaced it with a different fish.
It's like,
I get it now.
A lot of odd stuff.
That seems real obvious to me now. I was thinking as I was watching the show that the fish was like mutating or something, but no, he probably killed the fish with those stupid sprinkles or whatever, and then someone else like replaced the fish.
Everything. I mean, the episode this is funny, there's this movie, let me see if I can find it. I don't know if you ever saw this movie. Give me one second. It stars the guy from Baby Driver. Ansel Elgort, is that his name?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Let me see if I can find. Okay, Ansel, what a terrible name. Like, that just rolls right off the tongue. Ansel Elgort.
Yeah, right.
What is it? It was like kind of like a stupid, weird, like thriller where he plays 2 people that share a body.
Oh, okay.
Is it called Jonathan?
This is not ringing a bell.
Yeah, so Jonathan, it's called Jonathan. And the movie, basically, it's like during the day, he's Jonathan, and at night, he's the brother.
Okay.
And they're like this weird, like Siamese, like schizophrenic Siamese twins or something. Like, they share one body, but there's 2 personalities living in it. And during the day, he's this character, and during the night, he's the brother. The movie mostly focuses on the guy during the day. And throughout the movie, he's losing more time. The nighttime.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Over. And like, he keeps going in and out. He wakes up, he's somewhere else. He's like, what the fuck? He's not in control of his body. And it's kind of interesting because that it reminded me a little bit of Moon Knight with some of the elements where, like, you think he's sleeping, and then the next scene, he's in the middle of a field and his face is all fucked up, and he doesn't know a clue how he got there, and then keeps going in and out. Like whenever, like every time there's like a call for action,
yeah,
he wakes up and all of a sudden he has a gun in his hand.
Right.
It's like the
I thought
funniest
that
thing.
that was handled pretty well. I mean, eventually I'm going to want to see those action scenes, but I did like that. Like
That was a cool. Like, was he fully in the Moon Knight costume, or was it just that Mark Spector just took over and beat the shit out of people? I don't even know.
Yeah, because you would think, like, from what we've seen, he would be in the Moon Knight costume, because that seems to be how it works. But no one seems to find it strange that he all of a sudden got in a costume, killed a bunch of people.
He's probably not in the he's probably not in the costume when Moon Knight was taking him over.
Or maybe it's like a third character, you know, for all we know.
Well, there are like 4 characters inside of Moon Knight. Like there's several. Well, there's Mark Spector. I don't know if Moon Knight is considered a separate personality, or Mark Spector is just the Moon Knight. But then there's another Moon Knight called like the detective or whatever, and he's going to be in this too. I forgot what he's called, Mr. Knight, actually.
Okay, yeah.
Which they had originally were going to call it Mac tonight, but they didn't want to get sued. He's Mr. Knight, and he wears like a white suit, and he has like
a giant crescent moon head.
Yeah, and he sings the piano, and like neo-Nazis
right
for a couple of years. Yeah, I learned that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, ew. Yeah, I think I'm that.
Well,
so I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting episode. It's a good episode, but in a way, it's still just like a teaser.
Yeah, this felt more like a prolonged trailer. Yeah, it's true.
I mean, like, you don't get the character till the end. Hopefully, they explain a little more. So maybe they go into more detail. Like, I mean, it's only 6 episodes. I hope they go into good detail explaining what Moon Knight is to people, so that there's, you know, we could leave some mystery in there, but like, you know, explain like, hey, this guy suffers from he's like the Fist of Khonshu or something. Like that thing that's like that voice, I think, is supposedly like Khonshu or something.
Okay.
Like that voice is not I don't think it's
not a human
personality. Yeah. It's not him. It's like an entity. So, but like, I guess it's always head or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give it a shot. It looks real good. The acting's great. I think it's well cast. Yeah, I like it.
I thought it was, I like the whole, I thought, and to have the first episode be about this guy. And like you said, like this guy is probably like only existed like a couple of months.
Right.
And he's like calling his mom, remember? But it's like, is he really talking to his mom? Like, you know what I mean? Like, or is it like somebody that's associates with Moon Knight and just going along and be like, yeah, I'm your mom, sure.
Yeah, that's my guess, because we never hear the mom. You know, so
like clearly something happened to him.
Yeah.
And he needed to like escape for a while. So he
like, the mom is probably
another persona where he can kind of disappear into this guy. But at the same time, it's like his apartment's bizarre. It's like it's hard to make out how big it is. There's like everything about it. It's a little bit of Total Recall in there too, right? With the whole Cohagen, says it? No, Quaid. That's it. Quaid.
Yeah. I don't know. There is a lot. I don't know. I'll wait to see where it goes, but I like it a lot. So far, so good. Yeah.
All right. So speaking of other cool superheroes,
less so.
One of the coolest superheroes of them out there, guy tree punching. You ever seen that video of him punching trees? That's so funny.
So cringy.
I mean, hey, listen, you know, this guy's gonna be stuck in a wheelchair for his life. If he needs to pound some wood, get out some aggression, go to town, buddy. You gotta beat a tree, go for it.
Well, Madison Cawthorne came out and said that a lot of
on some podcast or something.
Yeah, he said a lot of the older House members have invited him to these orgies and cocaine parties.
He should just said they're all Roger Stone and just left it.
Well, I'll tell you, this was Madison Cawthorne said a lot of terrible shit over the years. This really pissed off the Republicans.
He's just a shitty right wing. Like he's a byproduct of the Trump era. Kind of came in with the whole Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
He's literally like, I don't know if he's the youngest ever, but he's definitely the youngest sitting congressman right now.
Yeah. He's
he's
very
sitting.
young.
And I mean, he's sitting.
Well, he is super young. You're right. He's not that far out of high school, and he never went to college. I'm not saying that like you need to go.
I thought he just said he's a dropout. I thought.
Yeah, he did. He dropped out, but it's. I'm not saying you need to go to college to be smart. It's not like an intellect thing. I'm just saying.
Not smart.
Well, I'm just saying that like in college, like if you look when you're after you're out of high school, you either go into like the military or to college, you get a job or you do something. And that's when you learn like how not to be in high school anymore. You know what I mean? Like that's how you learn.
Remember when he said he was going to primary every Republican?
Yeah.
Trump? That was a great tweet.
Well, he just never learned how to not be in high school.
Or what was that other tweet he did where he like went like, ha ha, eat it lids or something?
Yeah.
Congrats, he put a child in Congress.
He tweets things like cry more and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
that was it. Cry more. I was like, yeah, this is a person in Congress.
Right. This is not a serious person.
I mean, again, I think it's like he's from another one of these fucking districts where like the Republican, no matter what, was going to win anyway.
Yeah.
It's not like he won out of merit or like,
I don't understand.
Had positions that are good. He's just a shitty waste. He's a waste of time.
I always found that so crazy. Like, because you're right, there's districts where like, the classics like Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Madison Cawthorne. There's like a few districts where the Republicans going to win. Period. Well, I don't understand.
It's the same thing with like, I mean, AOC. They learned over the years. It's the primary. The primary is the real election in some of these districts.
True, but like I don't understand why the Republicans don't. I know that they do try, but like. There's got to be a way for like them to put in serious candidates. So
they don't want serious though. They are literally, these people are literally the embodiment of Fox News and right-wing media.
Well, yeah.
Right-wing memes, they push right-wing talking points. They love these people. I'm sure there's some that like are like, I would prefer better, but I will take them over a Democrat any day. You know, I'm sure they say that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he's just you know, I mean, he was involved with the January 6th thing. He was on stage.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he was rallying up the crowd to go there. You know, he definitely should be investigated for January 6th. He's just terrible. But yeah, he said things over the past year now or year and a half. But this one, he had to have a meeting with
Mitch McConnell.
No,
oh yeah, I'm sorry, Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah, the minority whip, which is
a
full name for a Republican House member to have a minority whip.
Yeah,
I remember years ago, Trent Lott was the minority whip, and they're all like, "Man, that's just that's that sounds painful." Saying
well, he had that meeting, and then.
He's had other meetings with these, like Marjorie Taylor Greene. He had a meeting because she like attended a neo-Nazi rally, or she, you know, the Nick Fuentes Groyper thing. Like, but like he doesn't give a fuck.
No,
he's like, she won't do it again. He doesn't care. He knows where these voters are.
This he cared about though.
No, this he cared
about this.
Well, one, it's like two things. One, hey buddy, I told you, we invited you one time to the GOP fuckathon.
Right.
You're not supposed to tell people about that. Now McCarthy might have an interest in that, or it's more like a legal thing, like, hey dude, you're making some weird accusations,
right,
that could really open the door to some bad shit.
The first rule of the Wesson Oil Club is that there's no such thing as the Wesson Oil Club.
Oil Club? What the hell is that?
I don't know.
I just made that up. Yeah. Like, you remember like years ago they would talk about this like Great Owl Society? They would go to like was it Muir Woods or something in California, and they would have these like fucking like all these rich people would attend, like celebrities and all of that. Supposedly like Nixon was quoted and said it was the gayest thing you ever went to.
Oh jeez, no, I don't remember that.
Tons of buggery going on there. There's like an owl god. Yeah, I've read about this. It's like a real thing. Like presidents have attended, celebrities have attended this. It's like, that's why. Okay, do you remember in The Simpsons when the rich people would go hoot 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 hoot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. See, very smart show.
Well,
but regardless if it's true or not, this is like you go ahead. What?
Well, he's kind of fucked in this way, because if he either said it and it's true, and he has to lie about it being true now, or he lied about it being true and now he has to come clean. He just comes off as like being,
so like it's like slander, but it was like weird because it was like almost like he's trying to make some like anti-drug thing, like, oh, these are people that are trying to push. If you saw that he says it like, these are the same people who are in the GOP that are trying to push like weaker drug laws or something.
Yeah,
like that's a bad thing.
Well, I just think that the problem is that other Republicans made him admit, the problem for him is that other Republicans made him admit that he was dishonest, either initially or now. Like at one point, he was just dishonest, and that's like,
I'm sure there's some truth to all this stuff.
Oh yeah, I believe his original comment. I think he probably told the truth originally. I think his walk back is like
the name was Lady J.
Yeah.
Remember?
Well, yeah.
Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey Graham.
No, was it Lady G?
It was, yeah, Lady G.
That was his, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, look, I don't doubt that there's like all sorts of crazy shit. I mean, like, if I
fuck club.
Yeah. It just seems like it seems logical that if you got 500 and some Congress people, then a few of them are going to be into some stuff, I mean, that just...
like, was it Matt Gaetz? I mean, like, regardless, who cares? This is not a serious person.
No,
he's not a serious member of Congress. He's a waste of time. He has no clue about anything. I've seen him get interviewed by like not right-wing media,
right,
and they like decimate him because he doesn't know anything. He's a know nothing. He was able to go in this, and and again, it's like a disgusting attack. Again, they do this like, oh look, we have our young, you have AOC, we have this our young person.
Right, right.
AOC is a serious person.
Yeah,
this is
with serious life
person.
Experience, and I mean, yeah. Madison Cawthorne is, I mean, it's just a clown show. I mean, it's a
little rich kid. I mean, his name is so bad. That name sounds like he sounds like a bad guy from an 80s movie. Madison Cawthorne. Dad wants to tear down the rec center.
Right. He sounds like the guy they were fighting against in Wet Hot American Summer. Like
Crazy Summer.
Oh yeah. Oh, I was thinking of
Cawthorne's boat in the end.
Yeah. Well, I would say it is kind of weird. It is weird. Like, I know that the joke is that whatever Republicans accuse people of, that's what they're doing.
Oh, it's like 99% of it always.
But it does seem like their big thing, and you've pointed this out a few times, is that they are super into talking about sex trafficking and pedophile rings and stuff like that. Anyway,
but it's not really aimed at anybody real.
No, it's all
the joke is that it's usually right inside that, and then group, they're the ones that
the call is coming from the house.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, with like Matt Gaetz and his investigation, and Jim Jordan and his, the wrestling scandal and whatever. But it is weird, like,
that's just disgusting. Jim Jordan's disgusting.
There's kind of this new push where the Republicans are coming full out against basic gay and lesbian and trans and all rights.
Yeah, I mean, they were going, well, they've always been against gay marriage, but they lost that argument years ago.
Yep.
It's been,
decisively. Yeah.
Yeah, but I still think there's some, even though it was legalized, I think there's still some hurdles that gay couples have that have to deal with more than straight couples, supposedly. I don't know. When it comes to marriage, but it's, I don't know if it's a state thing. Oh, did you hear about that fucking clerk in Kentucky? This is like fucking, I was like 5-7 years ago. It was like 7 years
the Kim,
that stupid lady that refused to do a job.
Yeah,
I guess she's actually finally going to face some real ramifications.
Oh, okay. I hadn't heard this.
Yeah, she's going to like be sued into oblivion, supposedly.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I know that like it seemed that for a long time, gay marriage and gay rights in general, I'm just using that as kind of a blanket expression, really just sort of gained widespread acceptance pretty quickly. You know, like
I mean, there were two lesbians that kissed in the end of Rise of Skywalker. What a like in
well,
the distance, in the background, in the corner.
you were getting to a point where there were tons. Let me back that up a little bit, where it wasn't at all uncommon to see like log cabin Republicans and celebrities that kind of embraced gay rights also embrace Republican politics. It was beginning to look like, oh, this is just going to be a normal part of everyday life for a non-political thing.
And the Republicans were like using trans people as their next scapegoat,
right? And they did that, and they tied it to like kids and schools and stuff.
But now what they're doing with the whole, like, it's starting to look forward with the Don't Say Gay bill, which Jimmy Kimmel made a joke and said he thinks it's really funny that the Don't Say Gay bill has you saying gay in it.
Yeah.
The irony is they're trying to like create this whole narrative now that they're groomers, basically.
Yeah.
Gay people are groomers, and which is like, again, QAnon shit. And they're abusing a term. Like the groomer thing is like a real thing.
Oh yeah, that's a predator behavior.
Yeah. Like, and again, probably conducted by like people who invited Madison Cawthorne to their secret fuck party. But you like to party?
It's just bizarre. I can't imagine someone somewhere had to have polled this. And I can't.
Yeah, so I said, I'm like, did somebody in the GOP poll this and said, oh, this is going to work?
Because this is a winner.
This isn't 2004, 2022. This argument's dead.
So many people have openly gay friends and family members, you know.
They attended. I mean, I know some of these people are fucking weird. Like people like probably attended their kid's wedding, their gay wedding, and like paid for it. Now all of a sudden, because they watch Fox News and the right's pushing, now all of a sudden they're going to be like, your marriage doesn't exist in my eyes anymore. You know,
that's it. Like it's a whiplash.
Ridiculous. It's insane. It is but I knew this would happen because the trans thing would lead to that. I said, I'm like, it's not going to stop with trans people. They're going to go right back into attack lesbian and gay people too.
It just seems like they have so many other avenues of attack if they wanted to take them. I don't know why they're doing this again.
They have nothing to offer except hate. And the midterms, they're trying to like shop, like I don't know the term. Yeah, like they're shop it, they go, like, where they're trying to figure out like what's going to be our talking point. Right now, they're using the term groomer a lot, which I think is ridiculous.
Well, I think their big thing is the schools. They're going after schools.
Yeah, but they're trying to say that the teachers, these gay teachers, are grooming our kids. Like, and it like DeSantis put in some law he signed in about like something to do with schools, and I'm like, dude, all you're doing,
you can sue a teacher.
People just quit. You're gonna have no teachers in the schools.
Well, I follow a lot of teachers on TikTok, and a couple teachers were talking about this thing that was happening to their schools, where all the teachers are getting fired. There's a huge teacher shortage. They don't have nearly enough teachers, but all the teachers are getting fired and they have to reapply for their jobs. And Florida, a while ago, passed this law. This was like back when I still worked there, where if your school didn't score a certain ranking for a certain number of years, it got chartered. So
what they're trying to do is get people off their tenure.
Yeah, there is no tenure in Florida anymore, but I was put on after you've taught for like 3 or 4 years, you can get put on what's called a continuing contract. And that's basically tenure. I mean, tenure, you can get fired from tenure too. I mean,
but they usually have a rule. It's like, it's not that easy to just
it's not that easy, but it's not that easy to fire someone on a continuing contract either, you know. But anyway,
go ahead.
They want to convert all the schools in Florida into charter schools.
Well, that way they don't have to follow the teachers union.
And they don't have to pay a pension or put money into a retirement.
Yeah, exactly. People, again, they're so stupid. It's like they fall for that privatization trick, and it's like, dude, it's not good for you.
Well, Florida's weird. Florida's weird because of a couple things. One, disproportionate number of the people are super old and they don't have kids in public schools anymore. And they don't really think of their grandkids' day-to-day lives as much as they think about golf.
I think of my dad, like if he didn't have a fucking pension, like he got a pension from teaching for 40 something years.
Well, I don't know. And also in Florida, it's a very transient population, meaning there's a ton of people who own the houses there don't live in Florida. They live up in the Northeast or whatever, and they rent these houses out. People who rent houses out, often they'll move around a lot and they don't update their voter registration and they don't vote as a high of a rate as a homeowner, just because of the nature of the way that works. So you can get those shitty anti-school things passed in Florida pretty easily. It's less easy to do that elsewhere.
Yeah. I mean, again, back to the LGBTQ thing. I think it is a weird tragedy on the Republicans' part. I'm like, this isn't 2004. I think it's going to backfire.
I hope so.
I mean,
I hope so.
You have proudly out of closet people who are in the Biden administration. You have people who are in Congress that are openly gay. You have governors who are openly gay. You have mayors that, like, this isn't 20 years ago. So but like I said, they're doing like they're not coming out exactly going out against, but they're basically pretty much saying like all gay people are groomers. I mean, like they're literally saying that. Like and I'm seeing it more, again, they're trying to shop it. They're trying to figure out like, how do we get out the old school gay bigotry but update it?
Right.
So it doesn't sound like we're saying the same thing. Again, it was like the same thing with the trans people. Oh, we're not attacking trans people. We just think it's weird. We just don't think it's fair for them to participate in sports.
Yeah, they are 100% attacking trans people pretty hard, pretty uniformly.
Well, now it's 100%. Yeah. Well, that's what they used as like a gateway to get people.
Right. In. Yeah.
But now with the gay thing, they're like using something. They're basically doing some QAnon shit and saying that they're all pedos.
Right.
It's literally what they're doing. It's disgusting.
Well, yeah. I guess I don't have anything else really to say about.
I don't know either. We'll see. Like I said, they. Real quick, what was it? Disney. Madison said something about Disney recently. He came out and he was like pissed about them. Like, and then
Disney's leadership kind of had to get pressured into coming out against this bill, and DeSantis is pissed.
It's like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna piss the Disney off, and eventually they're like, yeah, we're gonna move out of Florida. Like, I guarantee you that without Disney in Florida, you would lose half of your fucking tourism there.
Yeah, look, a lot of people come to Florida for Disney. Florida's got a few attractions, but Disney's right up there with the most recognizable Florida attraction. And I'll tell you, Disney generates a lot of jobs, like a lot of, Orlando itself is kind of a separate thing, but all those suburbs and like Kissimmee and St. Cloud and Polk County, even as far south as Lakeland, a lot of those people work for Disney or a Disney related project, and even if they don't work for Disney, they work for the hotels that are around.
It's a massive bleed off.
That little I-4 corridor, Interstate 4 that runs from Tampa to Orlando, a lot of that's fucking Disney, So I don't know what DeSantis wants them to do. I know he doesn't like Disney's saying what it said, but like Disney's more powerful than DeSantis. It is.
This is a fucking joke. He's a lump of shit. I cannot. If Florida has any sense, they will vote him out. But my fear is that he won't.
Well, like I said, Florida's very unusual in that it's run by elderly people who largely don't rely on civic institutions. They just don't. So they care about shit like, I don't want to pay taxes for schools.
Yes.
Yep. And I want to be able to drive my golf cart 15 miles an hour on a major highway. That's what they care about. They want laws passed so that
I want to be as repulsive as possible.
Yeah. Like that's, if there's some ordinance that would mandate public funds create pickleball courts, that'd pass. that would pass easily. So I don't know.
My only reference to old people in Florida is Cocoon. So
Yeah.
and Cocoon too. The
Yeah.
Return, I think it's called. Literally, it's called The Return.
Well, anyway, the next thing we were going to talk about is the Supreme Court. I don't have a ton to say about that other than it looks like she's going to get in.
Susan Collins already came out and said that she supports. Manchin already says. So it's done. They got the 50.
Yeah.
That Ben Sassy guy, he's such a shit. He is like, he's the new, what was that guy from Arizona who retired?
McCain.
No, not long. McCain died.
Who are you talking about?
There was another guy from Arizona who was always like another kind of not moderate Republican, but I call him like concerned face Republicans. Act like they care, but they always end up voting.
Who was that?
I forgot his name. He did that shit during the Kavanaugh hearing. Like he was the one that delayed it a week so they could do.
Jeff Flake.
Yeah, that guy. Ben Sassy's basically just the new Jeff Flake. He tries to act like he was. He basically came out and was like, she's really good and she's like really like has a great career and like but I can't vote for her.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Like
that's just such nonsense. I mean, a lot of these,
like,
I don't even know what.
That's it. I'm like, what are you scared of?
Yeah. A lot of these people, I mean, like
he's probably like, if I in the state, I don't know I forgot what state he's in. Is he like Nebraska or something?
That sounds right. Or Kansas.
If he votes for her, if he voted for her, there would be like they'd be pulling out a primary candidate like they pull those warriors out and Lord of the Rings out of the mud and they slap that white paint on like the white hand. What was it, Akari or whatever?
The orcs.
Those orcs, but they were like the super orcs. Like if he said he supported her, they'd be like literally just digging out the dirt and just pulling out like fucking the worst, like Madison Cawthorne's cousin, like a potato out of the ground, you know, like.
Well, I don't care. As long as this woman gets seated, I'm fine. I don't care.
Yeah, I just love the Susan Collins thing. It's like it's good for her brand because then she can say, "Look, you know, whatever." I mean, I hope there's another one. I hope the Clarence Thomas thing. You know, they're like the right wing so pissed. Like, how dare you, like, come out against?
Dude's a joke. If I were trying a case before the Supreme Court in almost any topic, I would make a motion to get Thomas off the bench or so. I don't know how a lawyer could do that.
No, like thing with his wife, I'm sorry, that's a conflict of interest. So many levels. Your wife's in charge of a super PAC for decades. Like, they said that was always from day one. It was always a problem from day one.
Right. It always has been. It's just now. I mean, like it's just so crazy. Like, and I know a lot of people have said this much better than I'm about to, but like you had the president and the Supreme Court, a couple Supreme Court justices and the Supreme Court justice's wife and these Fox News personalities, and then like a dozen senators and congresspersons, whatever, all conspired to really like a coup. You know, this was like a real threat to the way our country's supposed to work, and like no one's treating it seriously, you know. I mean, I know we are, and like people on Twitter are, but like literally
not enough is being done. And then like what that stuff came out about the missing the missing phone records. I mean, who's shocked that he used a burner phone for those 7 hours?
Well, and now they're saying, and I don't know if this is true, but I heard reporting pretty late saying that a phone call was placed from the White House to Senator Mike Lee.
I believe that
they have record, but there are no records of the call going out. There's just a record of Mike Lee receiving the call, meaning that the phone records at the White House were intentionally scrubbed, that there was like efforts to destroy this evidence. You know what I mean? It's like
there's no justice, dude.
It's crazy though that there isn't justice in at least this one instance.
I think that it would be in the political interest of the Democrats to go way harder on them.
Dude, of course. You know, I mean,
you think it would be in the interest of lots of people, even some Republicans, that this would be. I'm sorry. It's totally insane. And it makes elections scary going forward. I
Yeah.
mean, like, is this going to happen every time? Now,
Well,
I don't think, again, people like, oh, this will happen. And no, it won't happen again. Like, it's not going to happen under a Biden presidency.
no.
This all happened because Trump was president and the GOP were in charge, and they invited these people in and coordinated, made sure that there was no what do you call that? What do you call
the National Guard?
National Guard didn't show up till like hours later. Like,
it's just like they
there was like an understaffed police, and clearly they cherry picked and probably had specific policemen that they wanted there because they knew that they were probably didn't agree with Trump.
And they were specifically working with Putin and the Russians, and I mean, it was
Did
just
you
like
see Trump came out today?
Yeah.
Or like the other day came out and literally was like, he's on Putin's side. He's like telling Putin to get like Hunter Biden's laptop. It's like, what?
Well, and on Russian state TV today, the Russian anchors were saying that the American people need to rise up and get a regime change so we can get our partner Trump back in office. I mean,
That's
it's like
bizarre. It'd be like if again, like imagine like, and again, but like imagine in 2003, it's like Iraqi state TV, and they're like, Saddam Hussein said we need to get like, I don't know, Michael Dukakis in the power, like, I mean, it's totally deranged. It's deranged. It's
really bizarre.
Normal. This is not normal.
Well, and I don't know. Anyway, I guess, and this wasn't on our list, but it's something I've said a bunch. It's like I don't know what more they're waiting for to file some charges. You know what I mean?
What's his face got subpoenaed and he's actually gonna have to go there. Aaron Kushner or something.
Yeah, but they keep but like then they'll go there and they'll plead the fifth or they'll do whatever, and then another few months go by, and like the midterms are going to be here soon. Not that far.
They need to make some fucking arrests, dude. There needs to be like, I'm sorry, the whole thing with the Trump thing is ridiculous. That it has to be a mechanism or something that like just denies this guy from ever being able to run again. Someone made it. Oh, go ahead.
The January 6th committee asked the DOJ to file criminal contempt charges against a few people, and they haven't done anything yet.
I don't get that. I don't understand why. Yeah, Eric, what's his name? Garner. That guy's
Merrick Garland. Yeah,
I mean, Merrick Garland's just doing what? I mean, clearly the Biden administration doesn't want to do it. I think it's bizarre. I don't know why they protect each other. It's pretty weird.
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't know why he would protect him when like all they do is talk shit about his son all day.
And
literally saying that he's a pedophile. They're literally saying that every day.
I see you had brought up Matt Gaetz.
Oh God, yeah, he wanted it in like, so now it's in Congress or like in the records.
Like pulling random shit out of his pocket and wanting to introduce it as evidence of what? Like
this guy
some random hard drive you have.
This guy should be in jail.
Well, and I'm looking in the New York Times today and the Washington Post, and they're both like federal investigations of Hunter Biden are heating up and X, Y, and Z. And look, if the guy needs to be investigated, then whatever. But like, why am I reading about that a federal investigation on Hunter Biden is heating up when 2 columns over, I see that Trump destroyed phone records from that time 7 people got killed.
That seems a little more serious.
Maybe heat that shit up,
bringing up Hunter Biden and ignoring the fact that like Ivanka Trump made like $64 million under her dad, and it's not because she's a hard worker. I
don't need anyone to protect Hunter Biden. I mean, he can be investigated too, but like, just first things first. I don't know. It's frustrating.
It's weird. Very weird. I don't know what to say about. I mean, again, it's like, these are bad people that like have not faced any charges, and guess what? They're just gonna get worse.
Well,
it's the same thing. It's like Ginny Thomas and Clarence Thomas. Like, oh, why would he recuse himself? Why would he?
Yeah.
Their main purpose and goal in life is to destroy the country. You know what they say, and they say it all the time, and people like don't listen. Most right wingers say we don't live in a democracy; we live in a republic.
Yeah. And that is true, like on a technical sense.
Live and die on that. They believe in that. They don't think we're a democracy, which is bullshit because that's what this country is supposed to be.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've never been a direct democracy. Like you don't vote.
Well, that's not how it's sold to people. People
No,
are
that's not how it's
sold.
sold. That's not how it's sold.
Well,
It
how are
is.
we not a democracy? I mean, like, what do you?
Well, in a direct democracy, your vote would go. You would literally vote for the president,
Oh, I know. Well, yeah.
and
I guess,
Hillary Clinton would have won
yeah.
the presidency.
That's so funny though, because it's like, oh, will California be deciding all the presidencies?
Cool, good.
Good. They should anyway. You know why? Because the majority of the taxes that come out of California fund like half the fucking states in the country.
And all the cool things come from California and New York. So, but like,
so
we
that Katy Perry song.
Right. Those Daisy Dukes and bikinis on tops.
Yeah.
Well, like, so yeah, we do technically live in like this republic. I mean, we don't have a direct democracy or anything.
It's just
but
an
like
odd thing for them to push. They don't, because when they push it, they are literally saying we don't live in democracy.
Well,
like,
I'll tell you,
anti-democratic, literally.
The country is like it feels like it's teetering on the brink of just not functioning.
But they would love that because they don't want a functioning government. That's the other thing too. It's like
they don't want a functioning government until they want an air traffic controller,
right? That's the
or until
they don't want. They say they don't want a functioning government, but then when, like, I don't know, they're driving and because there's no functional red lights anymore, a car just comes out of nowhere and hits them, and they're pissed about it, and you're just like, well, what do you think was going to happen, buddy?
Yeah,
they don't want. They want to say they don't want these things, but really what they don't want is they don't want to.
They're like children.
They want to make people. They want to make people they don't like suffer.
Yeah,
brown people, gay people, whatever. They want to make sure people don't follow their beliefs or whatever. They want to make them suffer, but the joke is they will suffer too. In the end.
It's tough. I don't know. I don't know where it goes. I mean, like, I felt like we were kind of on an uptick of good progress, and a lot of that, frankly, was based off of like, the advance of gay rights and everything. But a lot of those gains,
I'm not worried. I'm not worried about it really with that. I think the Republicans are just so desperate for anything. Now, I'm not saying, I take it back. We should worry about it, but I'm not worried that like they will gain a popular belief. Like I said, in 2004, if you pulled gay marriage or anything like that, if you supported it, you were in the minority. But now you're in the majority. And for them to, it's like, are they that desperate that they think like they're trying to gin up their very religious base to get out, make sure to vote for them during the midterms? I don't know what it is. I think it's an odd choice. I think it's weird. I don't know.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, a lot of it could be positioning for primaries.
Well, of course
stuff,
it is. But the timing is impeccable. I mean, we're going to enter basically the midterms. Technically already started. I mean, people voted in primaries. All right. So what else we got? Trump missing phone record. Yeah, the Trump phone record thing is ridiculous. I mean, but we knew this already. Like I find it funny when some of these stories come out.
Yeah.
They come out and then you don't hear about it for a couple months, and then the story like it comes out again. You're like, I don't know, maybe it's a thing they should just keep talking about. Because let me tell you, if even like 1/100th of what happened on January 6th happened and it was the flip,
oh
the
God,
Republicans would bring it up every day and they would call for the death of every Democrat. If even one Democrat did something similar to what Josh Hawley did with his fist up in the air and all that, they would call for the death. It's like the same thing with 9/11. If Al Gore was president, 9/11 happened. They would not be saying we need to come together. They would want Al Gore brought out to the front line.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, that is true.
Someone brought up something interesting about what's his name? Something Gould. Is that his name? He's a comedian. This has to do with Rush Limbaugh. They brought up and said, "Do you notice that he's been what's his name?" Sorry, I want to make sure I'm giving this guy credit.
Elliot Gould.
No, not the star, the sex symbol from the early 70s, Elliot Gould. That guy's so funny. Dana Gould? Dana Gould.
Okay, that sounds familiar.
He's the Summer George from that Seinfeld episode.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The Summer George, and then he Like he went by the van, so then he like digs a hole in the ground to get him out. But I think, is it Dana Gould? Oh man, I really want to make sure I'm saying his name right. Well, he had a great tweet about I would like to pull it up. So if you just give me a second.
Yeah.
Um
Elliot Gould was great in those Ocean's 11 movies. So.
As an old Jewish man.
Yeah, he was really, really good.
It's like, hey, he's in Uncut Gems too, right?
Is that him?
Yeah. Speaking of Uncut Gems, what's that woman's name who was in it? She had that amazing. She's the one there was a meme because she said like Uncle Jams.
Yeah. I don't know her
Uncle
name.
Jams. Uncle Jams, I think she called it. But did you see what she wore at the Oscars?
Oh, is that the girl who wore like a human hair bag or something?
No, she wore this crazy outfit where it was like a leather thing, but the neck was literally a demon hand choking her.
I think her handbag was made out of human hair.
Ew, okay, I didn't see that part. I just saw that. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't usually give a shit about Oscar fashion.
Right.
But this one caught my eye.
Yeah.
Man, come on. Where is this guy? I don't follow that many people. And then when I look, it feels like I follow a million people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, maybe it is Dana Gould. Oh, it is. Okay. See if I can find that tweet.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago. It got around. It was a pretty big one. Basically, what he said about Rush Limbaugh, that was it. Oh, thinking about Rush Limbaugh and how now that he's dead, you never ever hear about him. No one mentions anything he did because what he did had no value. It contributed nothing worthwhile to the culture, nothing of lasting value. He just made anger every day, rising, blooming, and fading like a fart. And then he died, and it was instantly replaced by a fleet of little replicas, farting fake fury 5 days a week, creating nothing of interest or artistic value to anyone. Seriously, what an awful way to make a living.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. You're right. He doesn't have any lasting achievement or accomplishment.
The only thing I was like, we were watching Teen Wolf the other day, and actually thought I was telling my son about like what happened to Michael J. Fox. And I said he had Parkinson's, and then maybe think of the Rush Limbaugh thing, that awful thing he did where he mocked Michael J. Fox's Parkinson's. That is where Will Smith should come out.
Yeah,
because that was impulsive.
Yeah.
Okay, well, on to the last couple things. You said 90K atheist. What is this?
This is kind of a weird story. I had not heard of it at all, and then late today I heard about this kid who sued his a school in a little town near Houston, and apparently this happened 5 years ago, and it just got resolved in the courts. But this kid refused. He was an atheist, and he refused to stand for the pledge and to say the pledge. And I guess apparently his teacher, his homeroom teacher, or whoever the teacher was in the room at the time, kept making fun of him for it, and kept like allowing other kids to make fun of him for it and everything. And that's super shitty. That's a real that's a real shitty thing. And the kid sued and he won, and the school's got to give him 90 grand now, and that's awesome. And it just kind of goes to my theory of a couple theories, but like the big one is that liberals, progressives in general, are going to have a tough time getting relief from the courts and from laws, but they aren't going to have a tough time getting remedies from things like the Office of Civil Rights and from courts that handle torts, like money torts. And I think liberals should sue the fuck out of whoever they can. And I know that sucks because like you don't want to be the one suing. Like if you have a high school biology teacher that teaches you that abortion is wrong, then you kind of don't want to sue the school because you know that you're going to like fuck up the public school as a result. But you got to do it. You got to just start suing these. You got to
actually expose that teacher, because a biology teacher shouldn't be teaching that.
Right. Well, like I've seen that happen. I know
it has no business. It has no business bringing that up in fucking class. Yeah. It's not even might even bring it up. Like, it's kind of funny. You brought up something. You said a funny tweet the other day about like what was in a Bible.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was really funny. You said something about like something about the semen or the
there's
emission. It was a jacket, like a donkey, but the
there's a
emissions of a horse.
yeah, it's in like the book of Ezekiel or something. Well, some right-wing troll just said, read the Bible or whatever. And I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and
Like
people were like,
read the Bible instead of like whatever.
yeah. And there's this verse where it's like talking about a woman who lusted after men who were like hung like donkeys with emissions that like rival horses. You know, like
What the fuck?
it's really graphic. And
Like that book has no business being 10 feet, hundreds of feet away from the school.
yeah, it's basically like she likes them young, dumb, and full of cum. That's just
Hey, that's Madison Cawthorne.
right. So and yeah, I mean, I was like, look, that's in the Bible. They talk about like dudes, huge schlongs that come a lot. Like that's a Bible verse.
I don't remember that in the Bible, but also I never read the Bible.
Right. But like I always thought that would be funny. Like if so, like kids put a Bible verse as their like high school graduation.
Yeah. Fun fact: Stone Cold 316.
Right.
The original one was the one about the jackass or the donkey and the horse emission.
Right.
And the big man had to have a talk with him and said, "Listen,
well,
Mr. Stone, Mr. Cole, Mr. Austin, Mr. Steve."
I know that there's like
Stone Cold Creamery.
A lot of people joke about how the Bible's violent and everything, but it fucking totally is. I mean, there's like a lot of stuff in there that's like,
isn't it like written in a way that can be interpreted so it's not so obvious? It's not like a
I don't know
novel,
that Bible verse that
well, that one just sounds made up. It's like, I can't believe that's like, first of all, like, what do you mean you were hung like a donkey?
Yeah, it
have
is.
the missions of a horse. Isn't a horse like really hung? What the hell?
Just like, in case you're wondering, it's Ezekiel 23, Ezekiel chapter 23, verse 20.
Oh, Cold said so. Ezekiel 23.
And the New Living Translate, the original King James was, "For she doted upon their paramours, whose flesh is as the flesh of asses, and whose issue is like the issue of horses." And the modern new version that most people read says, "She lusted after lovers with genitals as large as donkeys and emissions like those of a horse." So
360. What the fuck?
There's not a lot of gray area there, It's
my favorite, one of my favorite quotes of the Bible. If you don't mind, I'd like to read it in front of everybody. Laid with men hung like jackasses, but with the missions of a mighty steed.
Right.
Like, what the fuck?
Cum flows like a mighty river.
So weird. So weird.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, if the Bible's in the, I just don't see why people aren't suing over this. I mean, with the understanding that, yes, this is stupid. But
well, again, most serious people who tend to be like more progressive like that, they don't usually like wasting, because they do, like you said, they do care about, like, I don't want to hurt the school.
Well, that's it. Like,
yeah, like, well, the other people don't give a fuck.
Like if my kid went to a school and the teacher pulls my kid aside and says, like, "Hey, I noticed that you didn't say the pledge and that sucks because you're going to go to hell," then I would, of course, want to sue the school, but
you have all these idiots like making lawsuits, and it's like, one that's gonna hurt, it's gonna just dry up resources. Because I turn the school, it's just gonna be a nightmare.
Well, that's one of the insidious things about the laws that they're writing, is that they don't have to be filed by a parent of a kid that goes to the school. Could be anybody.
It could be anybody.
Yeah, like I could say, I'm offended on behalf of the community, and that's why I'm suing. So I don't know. I mean, I like seeing the kid win. Live here. I like seeing the kid win 90 grand from the school. I also think it's kind of funny that the teacher probably wasn't a member of the union, because if you get sued as a teacher, one of the best things about being in the union, even if you can't, engage in collective bargaining is that the union will pick up your legal defense. That's why I was in the union when I was in Florida. But hopefully this teacher's wrecked over it in school. Oh, the school can't tolerate that shit. The principal's got to pull the teacher aside and say, hey, kid told me that you were making fun of him for not saying the pledge. You need to knock that the fuck off and teach some math. You know, I mean, like that's what the teacher should do, or the principal should do.
Listen,
they know what goes on.
Talking about young men being hung like donkeys and have fucking emissions like horses, because that's how I hired you to do.
Right. Did you even talk about donkey dicks once today?
Did you bring up emissions like horses? Because you're not doing your job if you aren't.
Did you convert horse cum from metric to standard today as part of your math lessons? How many millimeters of horse cum?
Mighty emissions.
Right. How many milliliters of horse cum are in an emission? Did you even cover that in math?
This is in the Bible, therefore it's science.
Right. So
Solid.
I don't know. I loved seeing that. That was my little feel-good story of the day. I need to read up on it more because for all I know,
I think it's just a funny thing because it kind of just flips the script a bit. And
yeah.
And then they're like, oh, fuck, you know, like, oh, yeah, this could backfire on us. Maybe we should, like, you know.
Well, and the don't say gay bill, to the way I read it, it's like built to, man, every school I've ever come across at some point has a social media post where they talk about a teacher going out on maternity leave and welcoming the new kid. That's actionable now in Florida, the way I read the law. You know, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but like you can say like, hey, you are posting about intercourse, you know, basically this is the product of intercourse.
A baby is the ultimate product of intercourse.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
Was it I'm assuming it was a, you know, I mean, like, and not to mention, like, there's probably other, like, did you post about like this gay wedding or this adoption, or did you, I mean, like, I don't know, it seems like a lot to work with. So
it's just designed, one, it's designed to just, you know, get talking points with the right wing, but it's also designed to just hurt the schools. I mean, that's really all it is.
Well, that's the thing, is that you do the Republicans work for them when you start suing the school.
Well, they sit back and they hope that every idiot, every ignorant moron in the book tries to take advantage of it.
Yeah. And
they'll clap while they do it. They don't care.
Yeah.
But speaking of the real problem though, in this country.
Yeah, yes.
This is a really serious issue. And it's a known fact, even if it's just one little trace of it.
Right.
Can kill an entire village. Fentanyl.
Yeah.
Just gets in the air. It is a serious problem, dude.
Well, what do you brought this up before? You said that this is kind of like propaganda, right?
It's weird, like, it's nationwide. Cops, you see constantly police posting where they're in full on gear. Like, yeah. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh, it looks like a hazmat.
They're wearing situation. Like hazmat suits, and like, let me see if I can find my tweet. I had like the original. It was well, this isn't that tweet, but I just wrote cops during the pandemic, and they're all like smiling, not wearing masks. Yeah. There's like lots of cops versus cops when they might see some traces of fentanyl, and they're like, it's the image of the cleaners from like
Monsters Inc.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's ridiculous. But let me see if I can find the original tweet, because it's like,
well, fentanyl is basically like a powerful oxy, right? I mean, it's a narcotic painkiller,
right? But they like create these bizarre scenarios where like fentanyl is like in the air, and right. Like even the slaves detection, and it's a big problem, and it's fucked up because they use fentanyl as an excuse for when they killed that autistic black kid.
Oh yeah.
Remember when they murdered him?
Yep.
They claimed he was on fentanyl. They claimed that in Houston at that Travis Scott concert.
Oh yeah.
Like 8 people were crushed to death or something.
Yep.
The cops that were working there supposed to do their job. They blamed them on fentanyl. They said, "Oh no, there was clearly fentanyl here. That's what happened. That's why they died." They're not dead because we didn't control the crowd or do anything. It's because those people got high from the traces of fentanyl in the air. I'm not even kidding. Like, I've seen it so many times. Like, I remember I saw a commercial for like some sheriff in Texas for a move, and he literally, half of his stuff was talking about the danger of fentanyl.
Yeah.
And he's like, and that's why I'm running, because the problem with fentanyl. And it's the most weirdest thing.
It is.
Yeah, I said, like, I'm amazed how this is a panic that's being fabricated by the police nationwide. Orange County sheriffs. It's kind of funny because it's Orange County, California.
Right, yeah.
While searching a vehicle where suspected fentanyl was found, 3 deputies became dizzy, deployed Narcan on themselves, and were taken to the hospital. They're doing well. If you question the dangers of fentanyl, this is how deputies must suit up to handle it. Thanks. And like, you got the fire department, and you have like guys in hazmat suits. It is the most insane, ridiculous thing.
Well,
how?
It's just so weird. Like, I think I know what's going on. It seems to me that like,
do the hazmat suits protect you from easily available factual information about how fentanyl works? And then someone wrote, much higher chance of dying from exposure to a cop than to fentanyl.
True.
Sorry.
It's just it's weird. Like, it seems to me what's going on is that they want shit. They need a reason to exist, you know, and they know that if there's a fentanyl problem or whatever, they'll get government grants and ATVs and personnel carriers and hazmat. They get shit, and they go to trainings, and it's a whole like cottage industry, you know.
It's just hysterical that these cops and stuff are making like an insane like, listen, I'm not saying that fentanyl is not dangerous, but this is
yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah,
fucking ridiculous. It's like, wait, you're wearing fucking hazmat suits doing that, but like the pandemic, you guys most of you fucking refuse to wear a mask. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, yeah, we already know this isn't how fentanyl works. Actually, I read a post about cops wearing hazmat suits to handle a fent patch, and now I think I'm ODing. Police officers are collapsing after touching fentanyl, but experts say you can't overdose from skin contact. The likelier story, panic attacks. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And like I said, I wouldn't even like, I've seen it in some areas, but now it seems like it's this. And of course, some of it has like a right-wing bent to it too. And it's like the war on drugs bullshit. It's like,
well, there's a lot of like, you know, it's coming in from Mexico. You get a lot of like weird language. You're right. That kind of ties it to other things.
Coded right-wing language. But again, it's just bullshit because it's been used in examples like them killing that autistic kid and claiming, you know, he didn't die from us killing him. He died from fentanyl.
Yeah.
No, those people that died at the concert, they died from fentanyl. It's like,
you do get a lot of these right-wing people trying to build a grand unified theory. You know what I mean? Like some master theory that ties all their little theories together. Like, there's illegal immigrants that are bringing drugs in, that are also human smuggling, that are also tied to DC, that are being funded by George Soros, that they're trying to like tie this big narrative together. And I mean, like, none of the individual parts hold water, much less any of the inner workings of it. But this does seem to be one of those things that they're rolling out, and that's going to be
some of these tweets. Fentanyl has been, this is all under that Orange County sheriff.
Yeah.
Fentanyl has been the number one most consistent way to know when cops are bumping whatever they seize. This shit is Havana syndrome for cops.
Yeah, basically. Well, I think that's real true. Like, if you tell the average beat cop, you know, if they hear this often enough, then I 100% believe that they'll start to experience symptoms when they come into contact with it. You know,
it's just ridiculous. It's not even like, it's one thing to bring it up, but the production of like having to wear like a hazmat suit, like, this is it. But you fuckers like refuse to wear a mask indoors or like get vaccinated. Some of them, ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Did you see that? Remember that bullshit when they did this whole thing? Walk out, these people, so-called people, cops, so they wouldn't get vaccinated. And like, fucking DeSantis is like, oh, come to Florida, I'll give you guys jobs.
Yeah.
I wonder if that panned out at all.
I don't know. I kept hearing about this, like, well, with all sorts of different professions, cops, nurses, airline pilots, stuff like that. And almost always after the deadline came and went, it was like 4 people got let go out of like 100,000 workers. It was always like a super
That's
small.
nothing. The media
Yeah.
made it out to be more. The people who didn't get vaccinated was very tiny.
And it was always like pretty ambiguous. Like, look, if you say, hey, you got to get vaccinated, and a guy is 64 and he's retiring in 3 months, did he choose not to get vaccinated, or was that just like he was on his way out? Or, I mean, who knows? I'm not even convinced that the numbers are as high as they were reported.
And even if okay, let's say you said like, oh, 1,000 people get vaccinated, right? But then you're talking about like 190,000 people in total.
Yeah.
Well, then guess what? That's like that's like a fraction of a fraction at that point. Who cares? Fuck those people. They don't get, at least like you had the main bulk. The rest are just deadbeats.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was
real
talking.
Quick. Yeah, no, what were you gonna say?
I was talking to my dad this morning, just about like masks, and he told me that they approved the second booster for persons 50 and up.
Yeah,
and
my dad wrote me today. He said he was thinking about getting it tomorrow.
Yeah, my dad said he's going to go to the pharmacist and see, like, given when his last shot was, when he should get this next one. And I said, yeah, I'm probably going to go do that too.
That's great. You actually are.
Yeah,
I have to wait like a month or two.
So, but it is weird. It's like, it seems like the countries where it was a few months ago, where it's stratified between people that get vaccinated, take common sense precautions, and are going to probably go on with life relatively normal, with the caveat that you're probably going to wear a mask on airplanes and, good common sense stuff.
I still think that if anything ends in the end of the day, the one thing that should remain from the pandemic is fucking masks on airplanes.
Oh yeah. I mean, I
think, like, I'm sorry. I'm like, especially if you're international flying.
Yeah. And then and then there's going to be another group of people where this is just always going to be a problem, and you're going to see, like, over time
they made it one. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They made it a problem. It didn't really. There was no reason for it to be a problem. It's the most ridiculous thing. But I wanted to bring up really quick before we wrap all this up.
Yeah.
So I saw a thing someone mentioned and said that the drop off for the initial booster was like a lot. Like people, so a decent amount of people got the first dose.
Yeah.
The second dose in the country, but the booster, not enough to like. And probably with the next booster, you'll probably see even less people.
Yeah.
Some people are just going to forget. Some people are like, I'm back in my office. I'm going out to eat. I'm fine. I don't know anybody who has it. And unfortunately, that's like the recipe for a new variant to come along. But I was talking to my wife about this, and I said, like, I think a lot of this has to do with that, like, a lot of people waited a long time. They wanted the vaccine. There were anti-vaxxers ready to go, though, cause problems. But initially, people wanted that first dose. People wanted that second dose. But when the booster came along, by the time it came along, there was so much anti-vaxxer propaganda.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Last summer. Man, I've never, like I said, when I posted stuff about Trump, like anti-Trump art on Instagram, I would get some hate. But most of the people hated Trump. Like, they just
yeah.
But man, two things where I got the most hate ever. My post about Dave Chappelle being a dick. When I made that art said, can I get $65 million to talk about his unhealthy obsession with trans people?
Mm-hmm.
And it was insane.
Yeah.
It was like too early on. I think people were like still holding on to that.
Yeah.
Chappelle show era Chappelle, not.
Right.
But the other was when I posted about the vaccine and about masks last summer.
Yeah.
I got some of these were weird accounts. I mean, a lot of this stuff, a lot of this anti-vaxxer shit, a lot of this was propagated in Russia.
Oh yeah,
propagating for years.
Yeah.
Didn't they say we talked about this after the Ukraine thing? A lot of online trolls and stuff like just dropped.
Yeah.
Right? With everything with the Ukraine thing. I don't know. I just found it interesting, and I'm not shocked that I feel like a lot of people got red pilled after their second dose. Some people had bad reactions to the second
Sure.
dose. Like I said, my wife got fucking really sick from it. Like she did okay with the booster. She's not looking forward to the next one,
Yeah.
but we're gonna get it, when it's
I
available for us. But
yeah. I did fine with all mine. I'm gonna get the booster for sure.
I told you, I got like a little bit of the chills,
Yeah.
but then I took Motrin, it was fine. Like,
My wife got that too. She had a mild reaction. I want to say to the first shot and not the second.
I got it to the booster,
Okay.
not
Yeah,
the
I
other.
didn't.
The other ones, I was just kind of like tired. My arm hurt. That was it. But regardless, there was so much anti-vax propaganda
Yeah.
talking about like lab leaks and like how uh, all the people in the hospital or people who were vaccinated, not the people like all the Joe Rogan
Right.
bullshit and all that stuff. So I could see how some people were disinterested in getting the booster. And then
Some people I think just felt they were protected. I got the
yeah,
shot.
there's some people that also just are like, there were people probably with the first dose who were like, oh, okay. Because I'm telling you, I've gotten the shots. They don't, I mean, unless like you go to your doctor or whatever, get done, like some of them don't tell you. They just give you the shot
Right.
and they're like, okay, here's paper, bye. They don't say to you like, hey, okay, when I initially got my first shot, when we had to go to like, it wasn't like, oh, you just go to Walgreens to get it, but like
Right.
we went to like this church parking lot and it was like, you had to sit here. I mean,
Yeah.
early on, it was like crazy. The whole idea of getting a vaccine was nuts. It was like,
Mhm.
I've never experienced anything like in my life, having to wait in a car line and go through this tense. And then we had to wait 15 minutes after just in case we exploded like afterwards.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
But they gave you the card and they gave you the date and they said, make sure that you get the next vaccine in like 3 to 4 weeks. And they gave you the date. But I feel like after that, like, especially like with the Walgreens, they were just like, all right, bye-bye. Yeah. Like no mention of like, hey, see you in like 2 weeks or like, it just was like, you got the shot. So I could see how some people probably got it and were like, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
That's it. Or I like some people are like, oh, I'm expected to get this every time. I'm like, who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's like if you get a flu shot every year, then who gives a shit if you get this?
I've gotten a flu shot every year for a long time. And I just haven't really thought about it. I mean, I kind of like
I knew a lot of people that pushed anti-flu vaccine shit.
Yeah, I did too. I heard stuff like that, and I don't know. I just look, I've taught in schools for a long time. I don't anymore, but I used to teach. And there's a lot of places you can pick up germs and stuff like that. I just got a flu shot. I like the idea that I live in the modern era where I can do shit like that. I mean, like, well, some people, like, I think maybe like our generation, if we lump ourselves into like that Generation X kind of, I mean, we are still kind of the leftover children of that promise of tomorrow, like science would fix a lot of problems. Yep. And we
grew up on like space exploration.
Yeah,
I mean, Bezos crap, but real exploration.
Yeah, that's all built
space
into my
camp, all that.
Yeah, exactly. That's and the movies I was raised on were like kind of optimistic Star Trekky stuff, and
take a pill.
Yeah, jetpacks and food pills and Jetsons, and I like that. That's kind of like built into my DNA that's a good thing, and I think that like
Web3 will solve that.
Yeah, I think a lot of like the newer generation, oddly enough, is like less sold on those ideals, I
don't think they're sold anymore. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't think they're being sold that anymore. There's a lot of cynicism out there.
Yeah, well, that and I think
cynical voices out there.
I'm gonna lump all that onto Reagan. Reagan used his 8 years to talk about how awful government was.
It's interesting though, because when I grew up with, and even though Reagan was president, I still feel like they was like programs being pushed still. NASA was still a big thing until the Challenger.
I think it took a little while to wind down. I mean, Reagan was basically pumping the brakes on a truck that was moving 90 miles an hour. It didn't really slow to a stop until after he left.
The damage was years later, not 100% hiring.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, I mean, get the booster if you're at this point, like, you know, if you think things are back to normal, they didn't get back to normal because of like shits and giggles. They got back to normal because they created a vaccine and people try to like be safe with masks and everything like that. And if you want to keep going to concerts and like movies and shit like that, I don't know, maybe the best thing to do is not like, you know, help another world-ending pandemic.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's crazy. But like I said, I've never seen more propaganda, anti-vax propaganda in my life until those last summer. It was really bad. Yeah. Well, that's on a good note, right?
Yeah. There you go. That's the show.
Yeah, that's the show, guys. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll definitely talk about Moon Knight episode 2. I wonder if like every episode, like you get, well, hopefully we actually get Moon Knight in this one.
Right. Yeah.
But I wonder if you get a different persona. There's only 6 episodes. So
yeah, it's a short one. That would make sense.
It's just I'm sure Steve Grant character has come back. It'd be weird to like have him be in the whole first one and not, or I don't know. And it's odd. Okay, so real quick before we go, like, remember when he finds out he has the date with the woman?
Yes.
Do you think she set up the date not with that persona, but actually like Mark or whatever other persona? He does have like a playboy, like a billionaire playboy type persona, also like more charismatic.
That would make sense. I don't, with the very little I know about the character, it seems to me it'd be like a third character, you know, because like the Moon Knight character, he's got like shit to do. Is he making dates with women and stuff? I mean, he's got like scarabs to protect, and he's got
scarabs protected.
So if Moon Knight, if Moon Knight is like making dates and shit, then it just, I don't know. I don't know if
you know what, Moon Knight works hard,
plays hard. Well, I would say that like you have the kind of gift store nebbish clerk guy, and then you have Moon Knight, the serious kind of like Batman like type figure, and then there's probably a third or fourth one that's like an Austin Powers Moon Knight.
Yeah, baby, yeah, that'd be great. Right?
No, but it's like more of a Bruce Wayne like playboy type of character. I don't mean to compare it to Batman that much, but
who Moon Knight, what his favorite line is?
Is it from the book of Ezekiel, chapter 20?
Yes. Moon Knight says something about being hung like a jackass with the emissions of a mighty steed.
Yes.
I have a feeling that will not be mentioned on the Disney Plus show.
I'll bet you. I don't know. I got a thing today when I logged in. It said I could change my my settings to mature. So
that's right. I need to do that because they have all the Netflix shows.
Yeah,
that might be an extra mature. They're like, okay, buddy, calm down.
Yeah.
Yeah, they brought all the Netflix properties.
Yeah. So
all right. Well, on that note, I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that?
Thank you for listening to You Still Going On About That. Please like, comment, share, and if you haven't done already, please follow us on Instagram, YSGOAT, Facebook, YSGOAT, and Twitter, YSGOAT. Thank you, and have a great day.